right, let's continue talking about blood. We just finished blood and we're going to get into lymph, but really quickly. So, major blood plasma protein, albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, prothrombin, and they have different jobs, they do different things, but sometimes when they're looking at blood, they will look at these things because it can tell you how the organs are functioning and so on. But lastly, with blood, I skipped this really quickly because anyway, don't worry why. So for transfusion to be successful, ABO, RH blood groups, donor, recipient must be compatible. Yeah, so A positive, A negative, etc. If they're not compatible, what happens? Okay, this is kind of scary. If not compatible, donated blood's RBCs can agglutinate. Agglutinate means they clump up together, causing clogging of blood vessels, so they get blood clots, slow or stop circulation, can hemolyze, dissolve, or be destroyed, and their contents leak out. So if we don't do a proper blood transfusion, it's really bad. It can be very bad. Okay. All right, so we are finished with blood. Now getting into the lymphatic. And you have to know that the book is just barely scratching at the surface, okay? Just giving you a little bit about lymph. Lymphatic, vessel system apart from, not connected to the circulatory. So there are these other vessels, other than blood vessels. They're called lymphatic vessels. Inside is this fluid called lymph, okay? So again, it's the extra fluid getting picked up from the tissue, and then it eventually gets back into the blood. Composed of lymphatic capillaries, so there are little capillaries, lymphatic vessels, they get bigger, ducts, lymph nodes. We've all heard of lymph nodes. If you've ever been sick and, your neck hurts, or sometimes your armpit, right? There are lymph nodes in different regions, and they can get swollen, and that's what could cause pain. So, really nice picture here. Right here are the lymphatic vessels. You have lymph nodes, and they're all over, but you have clusters of lymph nodes. So here, for example, where is it? Regional lymph nodes. So cervical, so in the neck. Axillary in the armpit, so that's why I was talking about inguinal. So here are different lymph nodes. Here are the vessels, and when the fluid gets picked up, it goes through lymph nodes, which clean the fluid. There are white blood cells in those lymph nodes, and they'll kill any foreign invaders, etc. Before, if you look at this, entrance of the right lymphatic duct into the right subclavian, so it's under the clavicle, and so it's going to dump the fluid back into the circulatory system. So lymph is clear, colorless, almost 95% water, protein, salts. It's just like plasma, basically, okay? And what happens is it gets picked up from the tissues, gets filtered through the lymph nodes before it gets dumped back into the circulatory system. Circulatory system, now it's plasma going around the capillaries. Some stuff's going to leak out, gets picked up in the lymphatic, and so on and so forth. So that's why they have it close to blood and cardiovascular, but it's its own system, okay? Lymph nodes, these little nodules. They're filled with what's called reticular tissue. So there are these reticular fibers, almost like little caves. And again, there's white blood cells there. It says location of lymphocytes and antibodies. And imagine if you cut yourself and, in the air, on your skin, there's bacteria, there are viruses, there's mold, there's all kinds of stuff. So if it gets in here for whatever reason, it's going to get picked up by the lymph. It's going to go through the lymph nodes where these white blood cells, lymphocytes, antibodies are there, and they're going to attack and hopefully kill the foreign invaders, okay? So there are valves in the lymph nodes helping the fluid flow one way. So these would be the tissues and the fluid being picked up. Some organs that are associated with the lymphatic, so the spleen, tonsils, thymus, not actually part of lymphatic, they're closely related. What's the spleen? Okay, soft, dark, left upper quadrant. Major site for destruction of erythrocytes. So the erythrocytes, the red blood cells. So again, they only have a certain lifespan and they have to get broken down, and the spleen helps break those down. Reservoir for blood. Essential role in the immune response, acts as a filter, removing microorganisms from the blood. Tonsils, right here, right around the area, your throat. It says lymphoid tissue depressions, filter bacteria, aid in formation of white blood cells. There are 3 types of tonsils, right? Palatine, pharyngeal, lingual. And there they are. Here would be a regular tonsil. Here, I don't know why today I'm having a hard time with my mouse. I'm sorry. Here's a regular one. Here is an inflamed one, right? That can happen if you're sick and you're fighting an infection. The doctors who specialize in this area, they're called ENTs, ear, nose, throat, right? Because all of this whole area is connected. And so your tonsils are helping with protection, right? Thymus, okay, it's kind of here in the chest mediastinal cavity, plays an essential role in the formation of antibodies. Antibodies are little like tags that tag the foreign invader so that other white blood cells can come in and destroy, okay? And development of the immune response. Manufacture infection fighting T cells, which are important in the body's immune response. Help distinguish normal T cells from those that attack the body's own tissue. It's important in developing the immune response for a newborn. Human body. So now they're getting into the immune system. So how does the body, how do you protect yourself against foreign invaders? So you have your first line of defense. So skin, right? Their first line of defense. And then you have second line of defense. So what if things do get in, your white blood cells are like your second line of defense. So you have secretion. So the mucus in your nose actually helps filter bacteria. You have hydrochloric acid that helps with killing stuff that might get into your digestive tract. White blood cells, the different types. And again, their job, okay, here they are. Again, their job is to protect you, and they have different jobs. Different ones do different things. Antibodies are the little markers. Body chemicals, like the histamines, they're going to help with inflammation. So the immune response, there's a definite response, okay? The reaction of the body to foreign substances. Humoral, pertaining to body fluids, immunity, or antibody mediated. So you can have an actual response. So you have first line defense, second line defense. So if you've ever heard the word antigen, okay, any substance to which the immune system can respond, such as chemicals, bacteria, viruses, pollen, okay? So you can think of something that would cause an immune response is called an antigen. Antibodies, also referred to as immunoglobulins, they're glycoproteins, so there's sugar, carbohydrates, and proteins produced by B lymphocytes respond to an antigen. So again, they can tag the antigen. What do they do? Antibodies neutralize or destroy by activating the complement system, neutralizing toxins, coding the antigen, forming a complex to stimulate phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is cell eating, so gets those cells to eat the foreign invaders. Antigen clumping, antigen from adhering to the host cells. So there are different types of antibodies, and the immune response is actually pretty complicated, okay? I repeat, I will not hold you responsible to memorizing all of these, but it's very interesting to look at them, and it's like, what are their jobs? What do they do? Like some are involved in allergic reactions, B lymphocytes, etc. So, and then the immune system can do direct cell-to-cell attack. So the T cells, the NK cells, they're involved in directly attacking the foreign invader, okay? So how does that work? First, we have to recognize the foreign invader, right? The invader, the enemy. Then activates the body's defense, producing more white blood cells. So that's why white blood cell count is important. That tells you something what's going on with the body. Produces antibodies, which use phagocytosis to kill or remove the foreign invader. Slow down phase, number of defenders returns to normal. So there's a whole response that happens. So T cells, cellular immunity, B cells, NK cells, they have different functions. As we get older, immune system declines with age, limiting body's ability to identify, fight foreign substances. And that's why, with what's going on in the news today with coronavirus, and some people don't have much of an issue, and some people have a huge issue. And truly, it's the immune response and having too much fluid in the lungs, and then the person can't get oxygen and gas exchange in the lungs, and the person actually suffocates to death. And so they talk about immunocompromised people. They talk about elderly having an issue with their immune system being able to fight that virus. If people, as we get older, the thymus shrinks, it gets smaller. It says that leads to reduction of T cell lymphocytes, including T cells, NK cells, B lymphocytes. So our immune system, our army, kind of diminishes as we get older. So frequency, severity of infections generally increase in older adults. Here they talk about HIV. HIV is a virus, and I sent you guys a video, and actually, I'll put links of the video of how viruses work. Viruses it's just genetic information. It's either DNA or RNA wrapped in a protein coat, okay? And what it does is it attacks the cells. What's really horrible about HIV is it attacks white blood cells. It attacks the T cells. And so HIV virus attacks the cells that help with protecting you from other foreign invaders, right? So in this case, attacks the cell, comes in. Look at the video. The video is really cool. The video shows like a flu virus and how it infects a cell, but that would be true for the HIV virus. So, someone could be HIV positive. That means they were exposed to the virus, they have the virus, or they can have AIDS, which is different. If someone has AIDS, they're in the disease, and, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, right? Or acquired immunodeficiency, yeah. So they're, when their T cells go below a certain number, now they have AIDS. And what happens is opportunistic infections that a normal, healthy person would not have a problem with. Now those people, since their immune system's compromised, they can die from secondary infections, simple infections. It's really, truly a horrible disease. So here, once the virus gets in, what the virus does, it's kind of really interesting, right? It coaxes the cell to make more virus, more viral DNA, and the cell literally bursts out the viruses. And what happens is the T cell numbers can go down. And truly, there's kind of like an evolutionary race within the person's body, with the immune system trying to get the virus replicating, and viruses mutate. That means they change. So we do have antiviral medication. We don't have a cure, but we have antivirals to try to keep the viral numbers down. And that's why we don't have a cure for the common cold, okay? Coronavirus is a whole group of viruses, okay? And COVID-19, it says novel, it's a brand new virus, and it was a result of mutations, okay? So 1 in 10 persons with AIDS is 50 or older. AIDS, meaning their immune system's low, okay? 4% of all AIDS, age 65 or older. Main form of treatment, antiviral therapy, highly effective in reducing number of HIV particles. Treatment can help immune system recover and improve T cell count. So we've really, got this down to a science where they talk about drug cocktails. That's actually what they call it, to help the immune system. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and then we'll have one final video in a little bit.